Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Mellissa Thomas. Welcome to the FNN Politics and Power series. Thank you for tuning in. And today we're going to focus on real estate as it relates to politics, because this is something that is important and top of mind, especially here in the state of Florida and particularly here in Central Florida. Real estate is always in the conversation as it relates to affordable housing, fair housing, and housing accessibility, things like that. And if you watched our live stream earlier with Orange County Mayor Jerry Demings, he held his annual regional economic summit, and they did touch on the rate of houses being purchased here in Central Florida, and he reiterated the statistic. There are some 1,000+ people that are moving to the Central Florida area and to Orange County every single week, which is a lot. So we want to get into the conversation, and today we have the Aura RPAC co-chair. That's a lot of letters, and we'll get into it. We'll get into the meeting. But Alexis Lok is here to kind of unlock some of these complex terms and kind of how real estate and politics work together, particularly here in the Central Florida area. So Alexis, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Mellissa.
Awesome. So, let's start with what you guys do, especially in your role in terms of Aura's RPAC side on the local level. Kind of talk to our audience about the kind of work that you guys do.
Yeah, so the RPAC essentially stands for the Realtor Political Action Committee. There's about 4,600 PACs that are nationwide that are registered, and ours is just one of which. Now, we go ahead and we establish at the local level, we go ahead and talk to our solicitable class, which is other realtors or realtor affiliates. Mm-hmm. And we essentially go ahead and raise funds to support candidates who understand the value of our profession, as well as believe in the issues that are important to us, but most importantly, that are important to our customers.
Awesome. That is a mouthful. Y'all rewind that. Make sure you rewind that to get it. But let's talk about the issues that are top of mind for RPAC right now. Obviously, April is Fair Housing Month, so it was actually very apropos to bring you on. Talk about what that means for you personally and for RPAC.
Yeah, definitely. So in terms of the Realtor Political Action Committee, we focus on primarily just bills and candidates that will promote, of course, fair housing for all, but most importantly, just real property rights in general, right? Mm-hmm. But when we talk about fair housing, that's a law that's enacted to actually protect people, to protect all people that have, and essentially it promotes not discriminating against familial status, disabilities, I like to say capabilities, religion or belief system, national origin, but most importantly, especially in today's environment, it does cover and protect race, color, as well as sex, which includes sexual orientation or gender identity. And personally, what it means for me is also just giving them the respect and the time that they are entitled to as being citizens here in Orlando.
Absolutely. And thank you for sharing that. So let's talk a little bit about, and this was something I definitely wanted to get your perspective on in terms of the importance of fair housing and kind of that sort of housing equity. Central Florida is a very attractive place for real estate investors. A lot of folks were doing fix and flips, especially kind of in that downtime when we had the economic downturn. Folks were like scooping up homes. But talk about how you kind of reconcile that with the concept of, the fact that housing should be available and accessible to all people. Just kind of give your thoughts on that.
Yeah, certainly. So, everybody has the right to have a roof over their head, right? But I think that in terms of when we talk about affordable housing or when we talk about these issues, I think it's a multifaceted topic. Mm-hmm. One of which that also needs to include just economics in general. Right. So when we talk about, rising inflation, I believe we're at 8.5%. The Census Bureau released that. So we're at 8.5% in March. So we have inflation, rising cost of just basic goods, basic needs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we have minimum wage that recently has been increased, to $10. So we're above the national average. But I think that it's a multifaceted conversation, and it includes both understanding why can't our local residents afford to purchase in this market, as well as are they having the wages that they need to? Are we combating inflation? Do we need to offer subsidies? It's a multifaceted conversation that definitely can't be solved in one breath. But I think that it's an incorporation of all those items.
Very well said. Very well said. And we're going to dig into a little bit more of those items, guys. When we come back from this brief commercial break, we're going to talk more with Alexis Lok. So you guys stay tuned. We'll be right back.
At Duke Energy, we deliver electricity and so much more, like free home energy assessments, rebates for energy-saving improvements, payment options to help you better manage your budget, and even bill credits for helping the community use less energy. So no matter what you're doing, we can help you make better energy choices every day. It's just another way we bring power to your life. How much can you save?
All right, guys, welcome back to the FNN Politics and Power series. I'm here with Alexis Lok, and we're talking real estate and equitable housing, kind of fair housing for all. April is # Fair Housing Month. If you guys didn't know that, hey, I was schooled on that too. That was something new for me as well. But Alexis, just kind of digging a little further into it with you in terms of RPAC specifically, in terms of the work that you're able to see, especially at the state level, in terms of the stuff that you're able to see. There are several real estate issues that you guys obviously have your eyes on. There are a lot of different priorities, but what can you say is RPAC's biggest priority right now, and what actions is the organization taking to resolve it?
Yeah, definitely. So in terms of RPAC, what we again promote is the candidates that believe in real property rights, right? But we also focus on legislation and support legislation that helps assist in the areas when it comes to real property rights. So I know that recently we had something that we call Great American Realtor Days, where actually Congress invites us in, as well as Senate, into their doors to talk to them a little bit about what we're experiencing out in the field. And I know that a few items that we had discussed was going to be the business rent tax. We're one of the states that have a business rent tax, and we did get that reduced from 5.5%. And it's important for big businesses to come because they offer higher paying jobs for other people. So we need to make that appetizing for them. The next is rising property insurance costs. This is something that's near and dear to our heart.
Yes.
We see, I think I went ahead and I saw something with Representative Angie Nixon up in Jacksonville. She mentioned that her property insurance raised 110%. So This is something that we have our eyes on. It's a scope, and we definitely want to support legislation that can help make sure that, we don't have to, lose that protection over our property. The same thing goes for condo reformation, and making it more transparent, especially after what happened at the Surfside condos collapse.
Right.
That was devastating. We want transparency. We want to see, how is that condo association being ran? What does those docs look like? How much do you have in reserves? Those items can allow the buyer to make an informed decision in whether or not they want to take on those risks. Another thing is the most important thing, and it actually goes hand in hand with Fair Housing Month, was our hometown heroes. We're talking about our first responders, our lower education teachers, our art teachers, people that really make that day-to-day happen. That was important to us. Unfortunately, the bill did not get passed. It got killed in appropriations. But another HJR 1 bill came across that allows exemptions. That will be on the ballot in November. So it's important that we offer this opportunity to make housing affordable and the cost of it affordable by giving these exemptions to these people that are on the front lines working hard for us.
Very true. Very true. And you touched on something very, very keen that's going on right now, which is the jumping insurance situation, which is that is a whole
Yeah.
other conversation. We'll be here
We're all feeling it.
yeah, we'll be here for several hours.
Yes.
But on the flip side, because you shared several priorities that you guys have, do you believe that there is a housing issue that is a valid issue that is kind of being eclipsed right now, something that's not getting the attention that it needs right now?
You know, in terms of the legislation side, we have quite a few bills that we want to present and want to get in front of our legislators. But I think that really a primary issue that needs to be looked at, that not a lot of people are scoping in on, is going to be mortgage guidelines. How do we qualify these buyers? You know, when we talk about, you know, so many years of taxes, so many years of bank statements, is this buyer really qualified? You know, do they go ahead and they pay their rent? Do they pay their utilities? And maybe they have a high spending to debt ratio or a lower credit score, but they've always been a responsible home and property owner. I think that it's something that needs to be up for discussion. How we can get those discussions going with so many, you know, pressing issues right now is going to be a difficult one, but you know, it's definitely something that people should look at.
Yeah, and we saw something like that much earlier in the 2000s, where, you know, there was the prime mortgage crisis, I believe it was, or subprime mortgage crisis, where
Right.
like
So not
anybody and their mom was in the house.
No. I'm not talking about that kind of reform. I'm talking about more reform. And if this person has proven in the past record, right? When we look at their financial makeup and they've proven to always pay that, you know, that rental or maybe that electric bill or that utility bill, right? And they've never defaulted on those processes, you know, why should they have to, you know, conform to these rising rental rates? And, you know, when they can be, and when we talk about equity, right? Could this make it more equitable that they can purchase real estate? So I think that is something that, you know, constituents and residences need to be aware of, you know, that, you know, and maybe something that, you know, mortgage companies and, you know, the loan products that we have out there should look at, you know, can we loosen up so that way we can offer the American dream to the American citizens?
Very, very true. That's a good point. Before we go to commercial break, this is one for Alexis Lok specifically. I'd love to just get your take on just kind of reflecting on your experience in real estate and kind of how you've seen it equality evolve during your time in real estate. Have you seen it improve? Have you seen more challenges in recent years? Kind of talk about that very briefly.
Right. So that one's a tough one. I could tell you, I serve everybody under the sun. If you look, you know, one thing that makes me very proud is when I go back and I look at all those photos at the closing table, not one family looks the same, not one individual looks the same. So I can say that it definitely can happen. It just takes, but also, you know, every professional works hard at informing the consumer of how to get to their goal. So it does take work on the consumer part, but we're here ready to inform. And I know other great colleagues of mine that also do the same. And I love seeing those closing photos because it's just so diverse. Do we see disparity in terms of lending? You know, yeah, you know, those charts are being released. They're public, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. You can go online and find that disparity. But I know that they're working hard and we're all studying to make sure that we can provide solutions for our residents. So, and our future home buyers. So yeah, we definitely are seeing a difference in woke nation.
All right. So on that note, we're going to take a final commercial break and we're going to come back. You guys know how I do with the FNN Politics and Power series. I always get down to the person. So this question here was kind of that transition into that, but I always like to do the brass tacks first, but then also help you guys get to know the person themselves and kind of the meaning behind their work. So we're going to come back from this commercial break and we're going to kind of talk about that with Alexis. Stay tuned.
We wanted to move back home to be closer to his family. We decided to go with pods because things were stressful enough.
We weren't sure how long we were going to need storage for, so we needed something that was flexible, and then they can deliver the container to wherever we move to.
We haven't found the perfect house yet, but we're still looking.
And we are back with FNN Politics and Power with Alexis Lok. So Alexis, kind of piggybacking off the last question, this is, of course, on the personal front. This is Alexis, the person. But talk about what motivates you, what keeps you going, particularly on the tougher days where you're encountering some challenges and, you've got that goal before you and you want to make sure you hit it. Kind of tell us what keeps you going.
Yeah, definitely. So, there's several things that keep me going. I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I love doing what I do. I know a lot about real estate and a lot of information just in terms of economics. But I think the most important thing that keeps me motivated and keeps me relentlessly working, 80-hour work weeks since 2019, right when that pandemic hit.
Wow.
So we have been working hard for you all. We understand it's a challenging market to buy in. I can tell you what keeps me motivated is getting those keys to our local buyers. It is so important to me that, and it keeps me extremely motivated, especially the last 2 years, in making sure that I'm always brushing up on negotiation tactics, as well as informing the buyer and how we can go ahead and make that offer get to the closing table without giving away as little as possible, right? Especially in this competitive seller's market. So again, it's all about the consumer. It is always about building that wealth and that future in real estate.
Awesome. And so I'll talk about the most gratifying part of what you do. I know you mentioned getting those keys to those new home buyers. Is there a project or a sale that really hit you, deep, oh my gosh, I am so glad this went through? Was there one that was like that for you?
Yeah, actually, two, just to touch on that topic, there's 2 items, right? One was a specific transaction. I was working with millennial buyers, and they were in this, I explained to them, these are the risks. We're going to be seeing lots of properties. We can't fall in love with one. And, we ended up finding a home exactly what they looked for in the area that they wanted. It was everything they wanted, and we actually got it under market value. I want to keep in mind that we got it closed when the interest rates were at 3%. Right now, the interest rates are at 5%. And you know what? We sacrificed having a brand new roof, but I can tell you, I am so happy that we were able to close because they are able to now have the net worth of owning real estate, right?
Right.
And the second project, I also work with investors and developers. And the second project that I am focusing on is actually from a transplant from Miami. And we are trying to create affordable housing by making spaces smaller. So we are currently right now scouting out land in areas that are in the metropolitan area. I know Orlando tends to be a commuter area, but we want to offer affordable housing in metropolitan Orlando. And if you can sacrifice that square footage with more outdoor living, these properties are going to be completely sustainable. So yeah, and that's the project that I'm super excited about. I think that it's creating inventory, and that's really the need right now. So I'm always privileged to work with, developers, mid-size and small.
Very, very cool. Awesome. All right. Thank you for sharing that. And we're going to take one final commercial break, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to come back, kind of wrap the show up. And we want to make sure that Alexis gets the chance to share anything that perhaps we haven't spoken about yet, because that is a possibility. So we want to make sure to give her that opportunity. But you guys stay tuned. And hey, the comment section is open for you guys. If you have any questions for Alexis, we want to make sure that you guys can get the chance to ask her that as well, whether you're watching live or watching later on the replay. But stay tuned, guys. We'll be right back.
The Florida Lottery is proud to support education by contributing billions of dollars to Florida schools and awarding countless Bright Future scholarships, so Florida students can do more than just dream of a brighter future. They can create one. Learn more at FLAlottery.com.
And welcome back to the FNN Politics and Power series. We're here with Alexis Lok. So Alexis, please, if there's anything that you want to make sure that the audience is aware of that we haven't touched on in our conversation, by all means.
Yeah, definitely. So if there's anything that when we talk about, getting, our local people, as well as, the transplants that are coming in, and also getting that sticker shock of how much it is to live in Orlando, I want to say, hey, stick with it, but try to get into it as soon as you're possible. You can reach out to any real estate professional at the Orlando Regional Realtor Association, and we are ready to guide you through this process of going ahead and purchasing a home, or maybe starting your first investment. But it's important that you take that first step and initiate a conversation. We are more than willing to help and consult you through what steps you need to take in order to make sure that we get you to the finish line. Another thing that I do want you all to know is that, interest rates are rising and we're kind of uncertain right now, but they're still nominally low. So make sure that you reach out to a real estate professional you trust. So then that way you can go ahead and partake in the American dream of owning a home.
Very well said. Very well said. Where can people find out more about you? Where can they get a hold of you to have that conversation?
Mellissa, I am trying my shot at social media. So you can find me at Alexis Lok Orlando. I'm, primarily focusing on Instagram right now. I'm doing the best I can. But with that, you can also go ahead and email me at info@alexislokorlando.com. as well as my information is extremely public, like any other realtor. So I am excited to sit down and talk with you.
Awesome. Alexis, thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate you. And, we'd love to have you back on the show to kind of talk about the progress of things, because, of course, the fight for fair housing will always continue, especially with this many people coming into Orlando, at the rate that they're moving in. So thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Mellissa.
Absolutely. And guys, that does it here for us at FNN Politics and Power series. If you haven't yet, be sure to like, share, subscribe, follow, all that fun stuff. You can find us at Florida National News or FNN News TV if you're watching us on Facebook. We always like to have those two channels open if you like to watch our live streams. If you're on YouTube, be sure to just find us at Florida National News, or on Instagram at Florida National News. That way you can catch us there. On YouTube, be sure to click the subscribe button and the bell icon so you get all the notifications for all of our interviews, news updates, and live streams. But that does it for us here at FNN Politics and Power series. Thank you so much for tuning in. You guys have a great rest of your Thursday. You take care. Thank you so much for tuning in.